Prabhu, Dana Pranam.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavats Pranam.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam Prabhu.
I'll do this song, this one, the Radha Krishna Pranamora, and then we'll start our discussion. Just few days back, we have done, few days, 31st is the last day, right? Balram Jayanti, we have celebrated this festival, Julani Haka festival. To Shri Shri Radha Gopi Vallabha, Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan, here in Shri Shri Radha Govinda, Radha Kalchenji, Addu Gopal. Yeah, this song we usually sing during the July Yatra. My voice is clear, right? Audio is clear, right?
Yes, Prabhu.
Jai. Radha Krishna Pranamora Jugala Kishora Radha Krishna Pranamora Jugala Kishora Jivane Marane Gati Aro nahi mora Jivane Marane Gati Aro nahi mora Radha Krishna Prana Mora Jugala Kishora Kalindira Tule Keli Kadambera Ratana Bedira Upar Gosabodu Jana Radha Krishna Pranamora Jugala Kishora Shama Gauri Yange Divo Chandanera Gandha Chamara Dhulabo Pabe Mukha Chandra Radha Krishna Pranamora Jugala Kishora Gatiya Mala Tirmala Dibodohar Gale Adhare Tuliya Dibo Karpura Tambule Radha Krishna Pranamora Jugala Kishora Lalita Vishakadi Jata Saki Branda Agnaya Koribo Seba Charanaravinda Radha Krishna Pranamora Jugala Kishora Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Dasera Dasa Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Dasera Dasa Seva Abhilasha Kore Narottama Dasa Seva Abhilasha Kore Narottama Dasa Radha Krishna Pranamora Jugala Kishora Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Lilananda Das Thakur ki jai. So let us quickly meditate upon this translation. Reading, okay? Yeah, please read. Here, Prabhu, Hare Krishna. First two, please read. Hare Krishna. Anyone?
Prabhuji, let me read because I am working. So if any call, then.
Acha, please.
Translation. The divine couple, Sri Radha and Krishna, is my life and soul. In life or death, I have no other refuge but them. Okay, second. In a forest of small Kandamba trees on the bank of Yamuna, I will seat the divine couple on a throne made of brilliant jewels. Shall I read probably third or?
Read that one also, Prabhu.
First. I will anoint their dark and fair forms with sandalwood paste scented with chuya, and I will fan them with a chamra twist. Oh, when will I behold the moon-like faces?
Very good. Thank you. Vinala Mataji.
Hare Krishna. After stringing together garlands of malti flowers, I will place them around their necks, and I will offer tambula scented with camphor to their lotus mouths. With the permission of all the Sakis headed by Lalita and Vishaka, I will serve the lotus feet of Radha and Krishna. Narottam Dasa, the servant of Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu, longs for this service to the divine couple. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Beautiful meditation, during Julani Yatra. We will sing this one anyway. So we'll start. Okay, this is Jaya Radha Madhava. I'll do it again. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopijana Vallabha Girivara Dhari. Gopijana Vallabha Girivara Dhari. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. So Krishna is the lover of Radha. He displays many amorous pastimes in the groves of Vrindavana. He is the lover of the cowherd maidens of Raja and the holder of the great hill named Govardhana. He is the beloved son of Mother Yashoda, the delighter of the inhabitants of Raja, and he wanders in the forests along the banks of the river Yamuna. Srila Prabhupada institutionalized this song during any class, Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, in our temples. Every morning in our temple, Srimad Bhagavatam classes. Every evening in our temples, Srimad Bhagavad Gita classes starts with this prayer. Two nice meditation about the divine couple. Okay, so start. So we are discussing today Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th canto, chapter 13. So before that, let us go through these titles of these previous chapters, at least to have an idea what exactly there in the 4th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So 4th canto, it talks about the creation of the 4th order. I am going to show you 1 second. So this is the thing. So Srimad Bhagavatam, canto 4, the creation of the 4th order. So I wanted to share this picture. Each canto, how Srila Prabhupada nicely titled each canto. I am going to share this one. Just a minute. Very nice. If you look at this slide, no? Bhadra Purnima is coming up. We all have certain goals to distribute Srimad Bhagavatam. So let us see. Can we till now, as a regular weekends readings and discussions of Srimad Bhagavatam in our satsang group since last close to more than 1 year. Now we have reached at the Canto 4. There are 12 cantos in Srimad Bhagavatam. Canto 1 talks about creation, the second one cosmic manifestation. Canto 3 talks about the status quo. Canto 4 talks about the creation of the fourth order. We are now here. Way to go. Long way to go. Canto 5, the creative impetus. Canto 6, prescribed duties for mankind. Canto 7, the science of God. Canto 8, withdrawal of the cosmic creations. Canto 9, liberation. Canto 10, the summum bonum. Canto 11, general history. Canto 12, the age of deterioration. We are at Canto 4. So, Canto 4. Anybody likes to read these chapters at least? What exactly they in the Canto 4 until 12? Please, Haribol.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam.
Yeah, read. Then I'll read Matari.
Canto 4, Chapter 1. Genealogical table of the daughters of Manu. Second chapter, Daksha curses Lord Shiva. Chapter 3, talks between Lord Shiva and Sati. Chapter 4, Sati quits her body. Chapter 5, frustration of the sacrifice of Daksha. Chapter 6, Brahma satisfies Lord Shiva. Chapter 7, the sacrifice performed by Daksha. Chapter 8, Dhruva Maharaj leaves home for the forest. Chapter 9, Dhruva Maharaj returns home. Chapter 10, Dhruva Maharaj's fight with the Yakshas. Chapter 11, Swayambhu Manu advises Dhruva Maharaj to stop fighting. Chapter 12, Dhruva Maharaj goes back to Godhead.
Yes, Mother, thank you. So now we are at chapter 13, description of the descents of Dhruva Maharaja. The original conversation is like that. Actually, Bhagavatam flows multiple conversation. It's called loops of conversation. Okay, it's called loops of conversation. So how that loop? So this discussion between Maitreya and Vidura and Maitreya Samvadam actually. All the past times, if we see, let me share one more document so that we can have some understanding what exactly the conversation between whom and who. So this is the thing. If you look at this, see it originally from who are discussing actually. This is the conversations from Srimad Bhagavatam. First 1.1. That means first canto, first chapter. Suta Goswami and Shaunaka, this is Naimisharanya, the sages. And in their discussion, original discussions, Sukadeva Goswami between Parikshit Maharaj. And in that, Sukadeva Goswami in Parikshit Maharaj discussion, they were discussing about Vidura and Maitreya. And Vidura Maitreya, they were discussing about these various cantos actually. Third canto, fourth canto, etc. If you look at here, 3.5 means third canto, 5th chapter onwards, and fourth canto, 31st chapter onwards, Vidura Maitreya discussions. In that, these are the various discussions between them. So today's 13th chapter also part of it, Vidura Maitreya discussions. Okay, so let us continue. One more document I want to show. Overview. This is the document prepared by Bhaktivedanta Vidyapit. It's Gauranga Darshan Prabhu, we all know. So his team effort. They prepared these various documents and in and out of Srimad Bhagavatam. They thoroughly read and understood Srila Prabhupada purports and various acharyas, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and Sridhara Swami, Baladeva Vidyabhushan, their commentaries. It's a complete institution, Vidyapit. So nicely prepared. So let us have some contents on this and we'll start with the discussion. Okay. So total 49 verses in this chapter. Description of the descents of Rudruva. Vidura inquires about Prachetas. 1 to 5 verses talks about. 6 to 20 descendants of Dhruva. 21 to 24 Vidura inquires about Vena. 25 to 39 events leading to Vena's birth. 40 to 49 Anga leaves home. Different personalities we see in this chapter. Okay, so first verse, but before first verse, please, we are a small group right now, 8 including me. Please open up your speaker, unmute yourself. Please repeat after me. No, these are the mantra. First, before starting any verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, we do Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, right? So please repeat after me. I'm gonna share first verse. From there, double discussion will start. Okay. Sharing. Yes. I just put only verse text, translation, and purport. Not advanced video. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om
ॐ
Namo
नमो
Bhagavate
भगवते
Vasudevaya.
वासुदेवाय
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo
ॐ नमो
Bhagavate
भगवते
Vasudevaya.
वासुदेवाय
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om
ॐ
Namo
नमो
Bhagavate
भगवते
Vasudevaya.
वासुदेवाय
नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैवं नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवते उत्तमश्लोकी भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः नमः पङ्कजनाभाय नमः पङ्कजमालिने नमः पङ्कजनेत्राय नमो पङ्कजाङ्घ्रिः. Now we'll take this one verse we will all repeat, and the later verses I will only recite, or maybe Sapan Prabhu or anybody likes to do sloka, so we'll do that also. First one, please repeat after me, first verse, okay? Suta uvacha
Sutavacha.
उवाच
nishamya kaushara vinopavarnitam
Nisamya Kaushavar
निशम्यकौशाम्बुपवर्णितम्
Vinopavarnitam.
ध्रुवस्य वैकुण्ठ पदाधिरोहणम्
Dhruvasya
ध्रुवस्य
Vaikunta Padadhirohanam.
वैकुण्ठपदाधिरोहिणम्
प्ररूढभावो भगवत्यधोक्षजे
Prarudha Bhava
गरुडभावो
Bhagavatya Dukshaje.
भगवत्यदोक्षजे
प्रष्टुं पुनस्तं विदुरप्रचक्रमे
Prastum
प्रष्टुं
Punastvam
पुनस्त्वं
Vidura Prachakrame.
विदुरप्रसक्तमे
వినలమతో ఒకసారి ట్రై చేయండి మొత్తం వన్ వర్స్ కంప్లీట్.
Sutavacha Nisamya Kausara Vinopavarnitam. Dhruvasya Vaikunta Padadhirohanam. Paruda Bhavo Bhagavatya Jokshaje. Prastum Punastam Vidura Prachakrame.
సపాం ప్రభు చేయండి ఒకసారి.
हरे कृष्ण सूत उवाच निशम्य कौसारविनोपवर्णितं ध्रुवस्य वैकुण्ठपदाधिरोहणम् प्रारुदभवो भगवत्यदोक्षजे प्रसातुं पुनस्तं विदूर प्रचक्रमे.
వెరీ గుడ్, థ్యాంక్ ప్రభుజీ. Translation and purport by Abhayachananda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. First one, let me do translation as well as purport. Sutta Goswami, continuing to speak to all the rishis headed by Shaunaka, said, after hearing Maitra, this is a conversation, right? Loops of conversation. After hearing Maitreya Rishi describe Dhruva Maharaj's ascent to Lord Vishnu Sabha, Vidura became very much enlightened in devotional emotion and inquired from Maitreya as follows. So before reading purport, let me take lessons from Guru Parampara. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanachalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurum Shri Utapadakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajata Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Satvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namasute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. मुखं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्यमीश्वरम्. ओम अपवित्र पवित्रो वा सर्वासङ्गतो विवा यस्मरे पुण्डरीकाक्षम् Sabhyabhyantaram Sujihi. Sri Vishnu, Sri Vishnu, Sri Vishnu. Purport. As evidenced in the topics between Vidura and Maitreya, the activities of Supreme Personality of Godhead and the devotees are so fascinating that neither the devotee who is describing them nor the devotee who is hearing at all fatigued by the inquiries and answers. Transcendental subject matter is so nice that no one becomes tired of hearing or speaking. Beautiful statement. Transcendental subject matter is so nice that no one becomes tired of hearing or speaking. Others who are not devotees may think, how can people devote so much time simply to talks of God? But devotees are never satisfied or satiated in hearing and speaking about the Supreme Personality of Godhead or about his devotees. The more they hear and talk, the more they become enthusiastic to hear. The chanting of Hare Krishna mantra is simply the repetition of three words, Hare Krishna and Rama. But still, devotees can go on chanting this Hare Krishna mantra 24 hours a day without feeling fatigued. So that is the thing, spiritual concepts and all the connected to Supreme Lord, never satiated, never tired, never sat, and no tiredness, no satiation, no, actually no satisfaction, never satisfied, always wanted to have, I wanted to have something, wanted to hear again and again and again and again and again. These acharyas, you guess how many times Bhagavad Gita, how many times Bhagavatam, they read, understand, contemplate, and discourse. Every time they read, is a fresh feeling. Because of the spiritual topics are like that, ever fresh. Because these scriptures not under the modes of the three modes of middle nature. All the knowledge under the modes of middle nature is going to is not going to satisfy us. Temporary material knowledge. Whereas spiritual knowledge beyond situated Trigunatmaka, and this is eternal knowledge. Since time immemorial, this knowledge is there. It's directly from Krishna, Veda Isha Sarvair, Ahameva Vedya, Vedanta Krit Veda Videvachaham. Ultimate goal of understanding Veda is to know about Krishna and all of his Nama, Rupa, Guna, Leela from the scriptures. Name, form, qualities, pastimes, entourage, etc. So that's the thing. So first verse talks about this one, Transcendental subject matter is so nice that no one becomes tired of hearing or speaking. So that means that is a sign of progression. Prabhuji and Mataji's, if we are getting tired, we are still not getting the taste. The repeatedly we are hearing, the repeatedly we are understanding, and every time we feel in some freshness, that is the sign of progression. Oh, same subject matter, same Bhagavad Gita, same sloka only, but every time it's a fresh feel. How can we get that? There are so much deep meanings there, every time we read. Every time Srila Prabhupada purports are golden words. Every purport is a golden words. We frequently hear from various preachers. What is that? It's a personal letter to us. Every purport is a personal letter to us. Dear Shree Giriraj, and your ever wisher, Srila Prabhupada. Like that. Apply ourselves. This purport is written for us. And always this knowledge is eternal. We'll continue text 2. I wanted to have some discussion with the Subodhini, basically, of this document, the PDF. First 5 verses, let us go through, what exactly in there, so that we all have some context. What exactly 1 to 5 verses talks about, Vidura inquires about Prachetas, and see. Now, first verse talks about Vidura was overwhelmed hearing about Dhruva's ascent to Lord's abode. That's we just now read it. Right? Second one, Vidura. Who were the Prachetas? Question. Where was the sacrifice performed? 3 to 5. While Prachetas were executing sacrifices, Narada Muni glorified qualities of Dhruva and pastimes of Lord. I am very eager to hear them. Atla the conversation. That's the conversation. 3 to 5. So first 5 verses. Let us read translations only. If any good points, everything is good only in Bhagavatam, but since time constraint, let us have some let us capture or let us gather some jewel-like points, like just now we see transcendental subject matter never always what is saying, transcendental subject matter is so nice that no one becomes tired of him. That like that we'll find out something. Text 2. Vidra uvacha ketu prachetaso nama kashyapatmani suvarata kashyanvaye prakyata kutra vasatramasata. Any Mataji Prabhujis, we need some interactions. We are small devotees. I don't know what about other devotees not joined these calls. It's okay. Whoever there, please unmute yourself. I'm asking to read translation and some of the purports. So let us have some discussion, please. Anybody likes to read?
Hare Krishna. Translation. Vidra inquired from Maitreya, O greatly advanced devotee, who were the Prachetas? To which family did they belong? Whose sons were they, and where did they perform the great sacrifice? Should I read purport also?
Read, yeah.
Purport. The great Narada singing in the previous chapter of the 3 verses in the sacrificial arena of Prachetas gave another impetus to Vidura to ask further questions.
Yeah, that's a discussion. Okay, thank you, Mataji. Manye Maha Bhagavatam Naradam Devadarshanam Yena Prokta Kriya Yoga Paricharya Vidur Hare. Translation, anybody?
Translation. Vidura continued, I know that the great sage Narada is the greatest of all devotees. He has compiled the Pancharatrika procedure of devotional service and has directly met the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purport. There are 2 different ways of approaching the Supreme Lord. One is called Bhagavata Marga, or the way of Srimad Bhagavatam, and other is called Pancharatrika Vidhi. Pancharatrika Vidhi is the method of temple worship, and Bhagavata Vidhi is the system of 9 processes which begin with hearing and chanting. The Krishna conscious movement accepts both processes simultaneously and thus enables one to make steady progress on the path of realization of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This Pancharatrika procedure was first introduced by the great sage Narada, as referred to here by Vidura. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, that's the thing. 2 processes there we have. In our ISKCON, we follow both. Pancharatrika Vidhi means deity worship, and then Bhagavata, it starts with Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Pada, 9 processes of devotion service. Navavidha Bhakti, both we are accepting, and why? Enables one to make steady progress on the path of realization. We need both. We need Bhagavata Vidhi as well as Pancharatrika Vidhi. That's a single. Okay, now let's continue. Text 4. Swadharma Shilai Purushai Bhagavan Yajna Purusha Ijyamano Bhakti Mata Naradena Rita Kila. Anybody?
Translation. While all the Prachetas were executing religious rituals and sacrificial ceremonies and thus worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead for his satisfaction, the great sage Narada described the transcendental qualities of Dhruva Maharaj. Purport. Prabhuji, could you-
Prachetas ante enti,
Yeah.
Prabhuji?
Prabhu?
Prachetas.
Characters, Prabhu, another pastime. Pracheta. But they also become devotees.
Purport. Narada Muni is always glorifying the pastimes of the Lord. In this verse, we see that not only does he glorify the Lord, but he also likes to glorify the devotees of the Lord. The great sage Narada's mission is to broadcast the devotional service of the Lord. For this purpose, he has compiled the Narada Pancharatra, a directory of devotional service, so that devotees can always take information about how to execute devotional service and thus engage 24 hours a day in performing sacrifices for the pleasure of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, the Lord has created 4 orders of social life, namely Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. In the Narada Pancharatra, it is very clearly described how each of the social orders can please the Supreme Lord. In Bhagavad Gita 18.45, it is stated, Sveshve Karmanye Abhirataha Samsiddhim Labhate Naraha. By executing one's prescribed duties, one can please the Supreme Lord. In Srimad Bhagavatam 1.2.13, also it is stated, Swanushthitasya Dharmasya Samsiddhir Haritoshanam. The perfection of duty is to see that by discharging one's specific duties, one satisfies the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When the Prachetas were performing sacrifices according to this direction, Narada Muni was satisfied to see these activities, and he also wanted to glorify Dhruva Maharaj in that sacrificial arena. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. So one nice point, two important verses from Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, Srila Prabhupada quoted, Bhagavad Gita 1845. Sve sve karmanya abhirata samsiddhir labate nara. By executing one's prescribed duties, one can please the Supreme Lord. That means all of our activity again center around Krishna. That's the thing. In the Srimad Bhagavatam also, same. Swanishtitasya dharmasya samsiddhir haritoshanam. The perfection of duty is to see that by discharging one specific duties to satisfy Supreme Lord. Okay. So when Prachetas were performing sacrifices according to this direction, glorifying Supreme Lord, and those activities center around Krishna. So Narada Muni was satisfied to see these activities, and he also wanted to glorify Dhruva Maharaj in the sacrificial. That is the context of this discussion. Okay. Text 5. Yasta devarshina tatra varnita bhagavat katha mahyam sushrusave brahman kartisnena chastum arhasi. Anybody, please?
My dear Brahmana, how did Narada Muni glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead? And what pastimes were described in that meeting? I am eager to hear of them. Kindly explain fully about the glorification of the Lord. Purport. Srimad Bhagavatam is the record of Bhagavad Katha, topics about the pastimes of the Lord. What Vidura was anxious to hear from Maitreya, we can also hear 5,000 years later, provided
Yeah, provided we are very eager. So eagerness. Yes, Prabhu. Thank you very much.
Correct.
Yeah, provided eager, provided eager. Eagerness is needed. Eagerness in the service of Supreme Lord in all of activities. Eager to serve, eager to learn, eager to hear, eager to chant. Eagerness is needed. So I am going back to this PDF. 1 second. Now next section 1 to 5. Whether inquires about the Pracheta, that is the discussion. Now another context from this is a very important section 6 to 20. So Maitreya describes the descendants of Dhruva. That this chapter itself entitled the descendants of Dhruva Maharaj. So in 6 to 20, what exactly there? In one-liners, he made this slides. What exactly there we can understand. We can read some of the purports. It's a big section. Okay. So let us read this one. Let me read. 6th verse talks about Utkala didn't accept throne. 7 to 9 qualities of Utkala. Bhavata Subodhini, page 1. That's another why he put that. BS means Bhagavata Subodhini. That he come up with the guides to read Bhagavatam in a systematically in a nice way. 10 to 11 Utkala appeared less intelligent, so Vatsara was made king. 12 to 18 descendants of Dhruva. That is there, page 102. We need to find out. 18 King Anga disgusted with his son Vena's bad character. 1920 Vena's death and Prutu's birth. We'll go to this verses 6 to 20 verses. So descendants of Dhruva. So let us read this down Veda base. Okay, now we need to little speed up. Text 6 Maitreya Uvacha Dhruvasya Chotkala Putra Pitari Prasthite Vanam Sarvabhauma Shriyam Naichat Adhiraja Sanam Pituhu. The great sage Maitreya replied, my dear Vidura, when Maharaja Dhruva departed for the forest, his son Utkala. Who is Utkala? Dhruva Maharaj's son. When Maharaja Dhruva departed for the forest, his son Utkala did not desire to accept the opulent throne of his father, which was meant for the ruler of all the lands of this planet. Text 7, pretty straightforward here. Text 7, Sajanmano Pasantatma. Sajanmano, I will give it to you, Sapan Prabhu, after a few verses. Sajanmano Pasantatma Nisanga Samadarshanaha Dadarsha Loke Vitatam Atmanam Lokatmani. I think Ram Reddy Prabhu also there, right? Let's see. Okay. Okay. From his very birth, Utkala was fully satisfied and unattached to the world. He was equipoised, for he could see everything resting in the super soul, and the super soul present in everyone's heart. So this one, anybody likes to read? One important purport. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, I'll read Prabhuji, purport. The symptoms and characteristics of Utkala, the son of Maharaja Dhruva, are those of Mahabhagavata, as stated in the Bhagavad Gita 6.30. Yo mam pashyati sarvatra sarvam cha mayi pashyati. A highly advanced devotee sees the Supreme Personality of Godhead everywhere, and he also sees everything resting in the Supreme. It is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 9.4. Maya tatam idam sarvam jagat avyakta murtina. Lord Krishna is spread all over the universe in his impersonal feature. Everything is resting on him, but that does not mean that everything is he himself. A highly advanced Mahabhagavata devotee sees in this spirit. He sees the same supersoul Paramatma existing within everyone's heart, regardless of discrimination based on different material forms of the living entities. He sees everyone as part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Mahabhagavata, who experiences the Supreme Godhead's presence everywhere, is never missing from the sight of Supreme Lord, nor is the Supreme Lord ever lost from his sight. This is possible only when one is advanced in love of Godhead. Hare Krishna.
Very nice. Thank you very much, Mataji. Two verses, Prabhupada, in connection with this verse, 6.13, 9.4 quoted here. So, pure devotees consciousness, they see an ant, they see an elephant in equal vision. There is another verse, Vidya Vinaya Sampanne, Brahmane Gavihastine, Suni Kecha, Swapa Kecha, Pandita Samadarshina. So, this is another verse. Yomam Pashati Sarvatra, Sarvam Cha Mai Pashati. Maya Tatam Idam Sarvam Jagat Avyakta Murtina. Everything they understood this creation, part and parcel of Krishna only, right? Everything. Mamai Vamsha Jiva Loka Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. All of his creation. Aham Sarvasya Prabhavo Matta Sarvam Pravartate. Matta Parataram Nanyat Kinchidasthana. These are the verses talks about Krishna's supremacy, and he expanded in each of living entities. Every atom is there actually. This talk about Chara Achara, right? There is two words we see in Sanskrit. Chara, moving, Achara, non-moving. Krishna is there in atom also. Krishna, every part of everything is perfect. Om Purnavadam Purnavidam Purnat Purnavadachyate. So this is the thing. Pure devotee's consciousness, a highly advanced devotee sees the Supreme Personality of God everywhere. He also sees everything resting in the Supreme. Everything. Om Purnavadam Purnavidam Purnat Purnavadachyate. Where we continue. Text 8 to 9. Sapan Prabhu, we can some of the verses you do, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Atmanam Brahma Nirvanam Pratyastamita Vigraham Avabodha Rasaikatmayam Anandam Anushantanam
Santatam. Anusantatam.
Anandam Anusantatam Avyavachina Yogagni Dagda Karma Malashayah Swarupam Avarudhano Natmano Nyam Tadaikshata. Translation: by expansion of his knowledge of Supreme Brahman, he already attained liberation from the bondage of the body. This liberation is known as nirvana. He was situated in transcendental bliss, and he continued always in that blissful existence, which expanded more and more. This was possible for him by continual practice of Bhakti Yoga, which is compared to fire because it burns away all dirty material things. He was always situated in his constitutional position of self-realization, and he could not see anything else but the Supreme Lord, and himself engaged in discharging devotional service.
Very good.
Purport?
Thank you. Yes, Prabhu. Actually, this, characteristics, Utkala, how we got it, consciousness. That's where discussion. Yeah. It's a big purport of Prabhuji. Some points to them. Okay. Mere Javadi. So, this sloka. Better, actually, this is a very important purport also. So, please read, కొంచెం speed up చేయండి. Okay. Read, Bhagavad.
These two verses explain the verse in Bhagavad Gita 18.54. Brahma bhuta prasannatma na sochati na kamshati sama sarveshu bhuteshu mad bhaktim labate param. One who is transcendently situated at once realizes the Supreme Brahman and becomes fully joyful. He never laments or desires to have anything. He is equally disposed towards every living entity. In that state, he achieves pure devotional service unto me. This is also explained by Lord Chaitanya in his Shikshashtaka in the beginning of the first verse. Cheto darpanamarjanam bhava mahadavagni nirvapanam shreyakairava chandrika vitarnam vidyavadu jivanam. The Bhakti Yoga system is the topmost yoga system, and in this system, the chanting of holy name of the Lord is the foremost performance of devotional service. By chanting the holy name, one can attain the perfection of nirvana or liberation from material existence, and so increase one's blissful life of spiritual existence, as described by Lord Chaitanya, Anandambudhi Vardhanam, which is situated in that position. He no longer has any interest in material opulence or even a royal throne and sovereignty over the whole planet. This situation is called Viraktir Anyatra Syat. It is the result of devotional service. The more one makes advancement in devotional service, the more one becomes detached from spiritual opulence and material activity. This is spiritual nature, full of bliss. This is also described in Bhagavad Gita, Param Drishtva Nivartate. One ceases to take part in material enjoyment upon tasting superior blissful life in spiritual existence. By advancement in spiritual knowledge, which is considered to be like blazing fire, all material desires are burned to ashes. The perfection of mystic yoga is possible when one is continuously in connection with the Supreme Personality of Godhead by discharging devotional service. A devotee is always thinking of the Supreme Person at every step of his life. Every conditioned soul is full of the reactions of his past life, but all dirty things are immediately burned to ashes if one simply executes devotional service. This is described in Narada Pancharatra, Sarvopadi Vinirmuktam Tat Paratvena Nirmalam. Hare Krishna.
Yes, thank you very much. A beautiful purport. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So, talks about Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga is the topmost yoga system. Two important verses. Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma. One who is transcendentally situated at once realizes Supreme Brahman and becomes fully joyful. Nasochati na kamshati. Sama sarveshu bhuteshu. Madbhakti labate param. Madbhakti. Very important. Madbhakti. Always in devotional service. Equally disposed towards every living entity, states achieves pure devotional service unto me. So, in that state, na sochati, na kamshati, no lamentation and no hankerings. And here, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sikshastakam also, Cheto Darpanamarjanam Bhava Maha Davagni Irvapanam Shreya Kairava Chandrika Vitarnam Vidya Vadu Jivanam Anandambudhi Vardhanam Pratipadam Purnamrita Sadhanam Sarvatma Sapanam Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtana. By doing Sri Krishna Sankirtana, Prabhupada writes here, first foremost activity is foremost performance of devotional service, chanting the holy names of the Lord. That is a number one activity, topmost. Chanting the holy name, one can attain the perfection of nirvana, liberation from material existence. Okay, and here, the more one makes advancement in devotional service, the more one becomes detached from material opulence and material activities. So, as long as we progress towards pure devotional service, we get the distasteful in materialistic way of life. Distasteful in the spiritual, in the material activities, eating, sleeping, mating, depending. This is a spiritual nature of full of bliss. This is also described in Bhagavad Gita 2.59. What is that? Param Drustvana Nivartate. One ceases to take part in material enjoyment. What is a material enjoyment? Already given, na Mahabharata. Ahara Nidra Bhayamaidu Namcha Samanyam. That is the thing. Upon tasting superior, blissful life in spiritual existence, by advancement in spiritual knowledge, which is considered to be like blazing fire. And all the material desires are burned to ashes. Right? And all the dirty things are immediately burned to ashes. If one simply executes devotional service, all the sinful reactions will take away when surrendering to Supreme Lord. 18.66 Bhagavad Gita, Krishna himself says, Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami vasajaha. So Narada Pancharatra also says this verse. So problem with his designations. We are attaching to or identifying to these various designations. Sarva Upadi Vinirmukta. We need to get rid of these designations. Various designations, bodily designations. I am man, I am woman, I am American, I am African, I am Indian, and like this. Various designations to the body. But Sarvopadi Vinirmuktam Tapparatpena Nirmalam Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam Bhakti. When we engages our senses in serving Supreme Lord, we get rid of these material designations. And what is our spiritual designation? Jivera Swarupohai Krishnera Nityadas. So that is our eternal position, never change. We are always serving to Supreme Lord or His energies. We never ever become independent, or we never ever become away from Krishna. Always, even though in the material world we are connected with Krishna, but we are forgetfulness. That's the problem with material world, is forgetfulness. Let us continue text 10. Jadandha bandhiro, Mirachadan, Prabhu. Anybody likes to recite Hare Krishna? Sapan Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji. Jadanda bandiron matta mukha kritrir atanmati lakshitapati balana prasantachir ivanalaha. Translation: Utkala appeared to the less intelligent persons on the road to be foolish, blind, dumb, deaf, and mad, although actually he was not so. He remained like fire covered with ashes without blazing flames. In order to avoid...
Prabhuji, yeah, it's okay. I'll take some points here. Okay, I'll ask you if I wanted to read. Okay, there are two things we have to understand here in this purport. Okay, Bhajananandi and Goshtyanandi. Okay, so there are two kinds of personalities. For all practical purposes, the whole world is full of non-devotees. So one kind of very advanced devotee is called Bhajananandi. Those who are Goshtyanandi, however, preach to increase the number of devotees. But even such preachers also avoid opposing elements who are unfavorably disposed towards spiritual life. Actually, Bhajananandi means they sit in one place and they do bhajan. Goshtyanandi means preaching. We are all part of ISKCON. We are called Goshtyanandi because increasing number of devotees, spreading the glories of Krishna, book distribution, various activities to attract, different conditioned souls to take up the process of devotional life. Two kinds of personalities, Bhajananandis and Goshtyanandis. Bhajananandis, they never go anywhere. They stick to one place and they continue their devotional service. Goshtyanandi, they preach, travel around the world like that. Text 11, chain rule. Or anybody, it's up to you. You unmute yourself and show your enthusiasm. Okay, please. If you wanted to recite or read translations, Hare Krishna. Okay. Chant, Prabhu. Saban Prabhu. Text 11.
Matvatam jadam unmattam kulavrada samantrinaha vatsaram upatim chakrur yaviyam sham brahme sutam. Translation: For this reasons, the ministers and all elderly members of the family thought Utkala to be without intelligence and in fact mad. Thus, his younger brother named Vatsara, the son of Brahmi, was elevated to the royal throne and he became king of the world. Purport: It appears that although there was monarchy, it was not at all an autocracy. There were senior family members and ministers who could make changes and elect the proper person to the throne, although the throne could be occupied only by the royal family. In modern days also, wherever there is monarchy, sometimes the ministers and elderly members of the family select one member from the royal family to occupy the throne in preference to another.
Mhm. Yeah. You continue. Text 12. Chair.
Swarvithir
So these are the
Vatsarya
descendants. No,
Shyashta.
sorry, bro. 1 second. So this chapter is talks about Dhruva Maharaj descendants, right? Different personality names coming up. Right now we see. So Utkala, family thought. Different personality you see. For this reason, the ministers and all the elderly members of the family thought Utkala. Utkala, who is Utkala? Son of Dhruva Maharaj. Okay. To be without influence and in fact mad, thus his younger brother named Vatsara, the son of Brahmi, younger brother, was elevated to royal throne and became king of the world. So that is the thing, how the descendants of Dhruva Maharaj have taken place of this world and continue ruling this world. So that's the thing. And now another different characteristics and the personalities coming into play. So read, Prabhu. Do it.
Swarvithir Vatsa Shrestya Bharaya Suta Sad Atmajan Pushparnam Tigmaketum Cha Isham Urjam Vasum Jayam. Translation: King Vatsara had a very dear wife whose name was Swarvithi, and she gave birth to 6 sons named Pushparna, Tigmaketu, Isha, Urja, Vasu, and Jaya. Purport: Vatsara's wife is mentioned here as Ishta, which means worshipable. In other words, it appears that Vatsara's wife had all good qualities. For example, she was very faithful and obedient and affectionate to her husband. She had all good qualities for managing household affairs. If both the husband and wife are endowed with good qualities and live peacefully, then nice children take birth. Thus, the whole family is happy and prosperous.
That's the thing. If both the husband and wife endowed with good qualities, live peacefully, the nice children take birth. Thus the whole family is happy and prosperous. So beauty of companionship, husband and wife having good qualities. Krishna consciousness is very easy. When husband not favorable, when wife is doing so nice in Krishna consciousness, there are discrepancies. There are some imbalances is there. Different things. Text 13. I will continue, Prabhuji. Okay. Are anybody devotees? Anybody like to recite?
Hare Krishna. Should I?
Yeah, please. You do some verses, Mataji.
Okay. Text 13. Pushparnyasya prabhavarya dosha cha dve babuvatuhu praptar madhyandinam saya iti hyasa asan prabhasutaha. Translation: Pushparna had 2 wives named Prabha and Dosha. Prabha had 3 sons named Pratar, Madhyandinam and Sayam. Text 14. Pradosho nishito vyusta iti dosha sutastrayah. Vyusta sutam pushkarinyam sarva tejasam adade. Dosha. Translation: Dosha had 3 sons, Pradosha, Nishita and Vyusta. Vyusta's wife was named Pushkarini and she gave birth to a very powerful son named Sarvateja. Should I continue, Prabhu?
Continue.
Okay.
These are direct verses and describing about different personalities. Okay, what? Continue.
Sachakshu sutam akyutyam patnyam manu avapaha manora asuta mahishi virajan nadvala sutan purum kustam tritam dyuman satyavantam vritam agnistomam atiratram pradyumnam sivimulmukam. Translation: Sarvateja's wife Akuti gave birth to a son named Chakshusha, who became the 6th Manu at the end of Manu millennium. Nadvala, the wife of Chakshusha Manu, gave birth to the following faultless sons: Kuru, Kusta, Trita, Dyumna, Satyavan, Rita, Prata, Agnistoma, Atiratra, Pradyumna, Sibi, and Ulmuka.
Hare
Hare Krishna.
Next, text 17, 18, 19, 20, 17, 18 would change, but just translation 7. Yeah, different personalities actually, no? We see. Yeah. Want to do 17? Anybody?
I can do, Prabhuji.
Chant.
Ulmuko janayat putran pushkarinyam saduttaman angam sumanasham kyatim kratum agnirasam gayam. Of the 12 sons, Ulmuka begot 6 sons in his wife Pushkarni. They were all very good sons, and their names were Anga, Sumana, Khyati, Kratu, Angira, and Gaya. Sunitangasya ya patni susuve venam ulvanam yad dau shilyatsa rajarsir nirvino nirgatat purat. The wife of Anga, Sunita, gave birth to a son named Vena, who was very crooked. The saintly king Anga was very disappointed with Vena's bad character, and he left home and kingdom and went out to the forest.
So you can see from here King Vena's story. The wife of Anga, Sunita, gave birth to a son named Vena. Was very crooked. The saintly king Anga was very disappointed with Vena's bad character, and he left home and kingdom and went out to the forest. So this chapter, this section talks about descendants of Dhruva Maharaj. So the last 2 verses, let me continue. Yam anga sepu kupita vagvajra munayakila gata sostasya bhuyaste mamantur dakshinam karam arajake tadaloke dasyubhi pidita praja jato narayana shena prutur adyakshiti swaraha. My dear Vidura, when great sages curse, their words are as invincible as a thunderbolt. Thus, when they cursed King Vena out of anger, he died. After his birth, since there was no king, all the rogues and thieves flourished. The kingdom became unregulated, and all the citizens suffered greatly. On seeing this, the great sages took the right hand of Vena as a churning rod, and as a result of their churning, Lord Vishnu, in his partial representation, made his advent as King Prithu, the original emperor of the world. Purport: monarchy is better than democracy, because if the monarchy is very strong, the regulative principles within the kingdom are upheld very nicely. Even 100 years ago, in the state of Kashmir in India, the king was so strong that if a thief were arrested in his kingdom and brought before him, the king would immediately chop off the hands of the chief. As a result of this severe punishment, there were practically no theft cases within the kingdom. Even if someone left something on the street, no one would touch it. The rule was that the things could be taken away only by the proprietor, and that no one else would touch them. In the so-called democracy, wherever there is a theft case, the police come and take note of the case, but generally the thief is never caught, nor is any punishment offered to him. As a result of incapable government, at the present moment, thieves, rogues, cheaters are very prominent in all over the world. So for the right reason, monarchy is better than the democracy. We are seeing right now the current politicians, every politician is most of the times, 90% of the politicians are corrupted. See, rogues, thieves, cheaters, prominent all over the world. So that's the thing. So let us go to another section. Now let us see. I'm going to share this one. Six to 21. Just now we have done with the readings and discussion. Sharing. Yeah, Maitreya describes the descendants of Dhruva, and finally, in the last concluded verses of this section, King Vena and Pruthumara are also connected. So Vena's death and Pruthu's birth. That's the thing. So now, in this section, 21 to 39, these verses, Vena's birth. How many verses? 9 and total 11 verses. Not 11.
19.
Yes, Prabhuji. So, in one slide, one statement is there. 21 to 24, Vidra's questions, these 4 verses. How a bad son for a good king? Why did sages curse Vena? And 23 to 24, king disregarded by citizens. 25 to 39, Maitreya narrates events leading to Vena's birth. 25 to 28, in King Anga's Yajna, demigods didn't appear despite invitation, and the priests informed Anga. 29 to 30, aggrieved Anga inquired for any offenses he has committed. So, 21 to 39. 21 to 39. We will read only translations, okay? If anything there, we will continue with the purport. So, 21. We'll directly read translations. Sloka recitation, let us start. No? So total, how many? 19 plus verses there. So please read the translations. Okay. I'm gonna ask the names. Let me see how many are here attentive. Satyadev Prabhu, Hare Krishna. Ayyar Prabhu, Hare Krishna. Akinchan Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Akinchan Prabhu, Satyadev Prabhu, Subbarao Prabhu. Five translations are done, Prabhuji.
Okay, Prabhu. 5.
Translations of this section, Prabhuji.
Prabhu.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Going to put it on the screen, Prabhu, or this one?
Oh, not able to see? Oh, 1 second. I am sharing this one from the
Right.
Veda based. So
Vidura,
this section, yeah,
this section. Shall I
this
read, Prabhu, or
section,
no?
yeah, just read the translations.
Vidura inquired from, says Maitreyi, by the Brahmana, King Anga was very gentle. He had high character and was a saintly personality and lover of Brahminical culture. How is that such a great soul got a bad son like Vena, because of whom he became indifferent to his kingdom and left it?
One point you read, Prabhu. One Chanakya Pandita, this point. Up to this point, you can read.
In family life, a man is supposed to live happily with father, mother, wife, and children. But sometimes, under certain conditions, a father, mother, child, or wife becomes an enemy. It is said by Chanakya Pandita that a father is an enemy when he is too much in debt. A mother is an enemy if she marries for a second time. A wife is an enemy when she is very beautiful, and a son is an enemy when he is a foolish rascal.
Suddenly, completely.
In this way, when a family member becomes an enemy, it is very difficult to live in a family life or remain a householder. Generally, such situations occur in material world. Therefore, according to Vedic culture, one has to take leave of his family members just after his 50th year, so that he balances his so that the balance of his life may be completely devoted in search of Krishna consciousness.
Read, bro. Next translation.
Vidura also inquired, how is that the great sages who were completely conversant with religious principles desired to curse King Vena, who himself carried the rod of punishment and thus awarded him the greatest punishment, Brahmasapa. It is the duty of all citizens in a state never to insult the king, even though he sometimes appears to have done something very sinful. Because of his prowess, the king is always more influential than all other ruling chiefs.
Good job, Prabhu. Thank you.
Vidura requested Maitreya, my dear Brahmana, you are well conversant with all subjects, both past and future. Therefore, I wish to hear from you all the activities of King Vena. I'm your faithful devotee, so please explain this to me.
Again asking Vidura question to Maitreya. Maitreya is explaining. Maitreya Vacha. So
26th, text 26th. Sri Maitreya replied, my dear Vidura, once the great King Kinga arranged to perform great sacrifice known as Aswamedha. All the expert Brahmanas present knew how to invite the demigods, but in spite of their efforts, no demigods participated or appeared in that sacrifice.
exactly, yes, very good. Thank you, Prabhuji. Now I'll give it to Satyadev Prabhu to let him answer it. Thank you, Subhara Prabhu. Satyadev Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Yeah, so the priest engaged.
Not able to see? Prabhu? Oh, we are not. Is it with me or everybody? Satyadev Prabhu's voice.
Not able to hear him.
Internet maybe
Oh, Hare
fluctuation.
Krishna, Prabhu. Is it okay now?
Now, okay, please read, Prabhu.
Yes.
We couldn't hear anything. Yeah.
Okay. The priest engaged in the sacrifice then informed King Anga, O king, we are properly offering the clarified butter in the sacrifice. But despite all our efforts, the demigods do not accept it.
Text 727. Read.
Verse
Translation.
number 27. Yeah. Text number 27. Translate. O king, we know that the paraphernalia to perform the sacrifice is well collected by you with great faith and care and is not polluted. Our chanting of the Vedic hymns is also not deficient in any way. For all the Brahmanas and priests present here are experts and are executing the performance properly.
28.
Verse number 28. Scroll down.
Yeah. Prabhuji.
Okay. Dear
Yeah. Only
we
feeble.
do not find should feel insulted or neglected in any way. But still, the demigods who are witnessed for the sacrifice do not accept their shares. We do not know why this is so.
Maitreya explaining to me that. Yes. Read, Prabhu. This one also.
Purport, shall I go ahead? Purport, Rohit?
No, translation again, Prabhuji.
Okay. Text number 29. Maitreya explains the king Anga, after hearing the statements of the praise, was greatly aggravated. At that time, he took permission from the priest to break his silence and inquired from all the priests who are present in the sacrifice arena.
Text 30 also.
Text number 30. King Anga addressed the priestly order. My dear priest, kindly tell me what offense I have committed. Although invited, the demigods are neither taking part in the sacrifice nor accepting their shares.
So actually these verses from 25 to 39 verses, Maitreya narrates events leading to Vena's birth. So 25 to 28, these verses just now we read. The king Anga's yajna, demigod didn't appear despite invitation, and the priest informed Anga. So, 29 to 30 talks about what is that? Aggrieved Anga inquired for any offenses he has committed. From 25 to 39, Maitra narrates events leading to Vena's birth. So from 25, these are the verses, these 39 verses. So from 31 to 39, let us read translations of the birth of Vena. So I will read some of the translations. The head priest said, "O king, in this life we do not find any sinful activity." They're finding out, is there any problem with this sacrifice? What happens here? Even within your mind. So you are not the least offensive, but we can see that in your previous life, you perform sinful activities due to which, in spite of your having all qualifications, you have no son. That's a thing. O king, we wish all good fortune for you. You have no son, but if you pray at once to the Supreme Lord and ask for a son, and if you execute the sacrifice for that purpose, the enjoyer of the sacrifice, what is that? From Bhagavad Gita, there is one beautiful verse. Yajna, that leads to one verse is there actually talks about yajna. Thank you, Mataji. Bhoktaram yajna tapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram, satisfying all the yajnas meant to satisfy Supreme Lord. Enjoyer of with the enjoyer of sacrifice. Yajna tapasam. The Supreme Personality of God will fulfill your desire. When Hari, the supreme enjoyer of all sacrifices, is invited to fulfill your desire for a son, all the demigods will come with him and take their shares in the sacrifice. Text 34. The performer of the sacrifices under the karmakanda activities achieve the fulfillment of the desire for which he worship the Lord. Text 35. Thus, for the sake of a son, for King Anga, they decided to offer oblations to Lord Vishnu, who is situated in the hearts of all living entities. Text 36. As soon as the oblation was offered in the fire, a person appeared from the fire altar wearing a golden garland and a white dress. He was carrying a golden pot filled with rice boiled in milk. Text 37. The king was very liberal, and after taking permission from the priest, he took the preparation in his giant palms, and after smelling it, he offered a portion to his wife. Text 38. Although the queen had no son, after eating that food which had the power to produce a male child, she became pregnant by her husband, and in due course of time, she gave birth to a son. So this one, Prabhupada writes in small purport. Among the 10 kinds of purificatory process, one is Hum Savanam, in which the wife is offered some prasada or remnants of food stuff offered to Lord Vishnu, so that after sexual intercourse with her husband, she may conceive a child. Hum Savanam. No, that's important. Hum Savanam. Text 39. This is the last in this section. Text 39. That boy was born partially in the dynasty of irreligion. The boy was born partially in the dynasty of irreligion. His grandfather was death personified, and the boy grew up as his follower. He became a greatly irreligious person. So now text 40 onwards, another section. 40 to 49, there's the last 9 verses, 10 verses. Anga leaves home due to Vena's atrocities. Because of, he got the bad son. Puffed up, King Anga, he left home. So 9 verses are pretty straightforward. Let us continue. Anybody likes to read? Let me see. Kinchan Prabhuji, please read. Then
After fixing his bow and arrow, the cruel boy used to go to the forest and unnecessarily kill innocent deer. And as soon as he came, all the people would cry, "Here comes the cruel Vena! Here comes the cruel Vena!"
X41. Read, Prabhu.
boy was
Attention.
so cruel that while playing with the young boys of his age, he would kill them very mercilessly, and if they were animals meant for slaughter, if they were
Merciless
animals
killing.
meant for
Merciless killing and yeah.
After seeing the cruel, merciless behavior of the son, Vena, King Anga punished him in different ways to reform him, but was unable to bring him to the path of gentleness. He thus became greatly aggrieved.
Aggrieved.
The king thought
Text
to
43.
himself, yeah, text 43. The king thought to himself, persons who have no son are certainly fortunate. They must have worshipped the Lord in their previous life so that they would not have to suffer the unbearable happiness caused by the bad son. Hare Krishna.
Read, bro. It's purport small and children.
Yes, Sadhvara Prabhu. It is
Yes.
said that the married couple must have a son, otherwise their family life is void. But a son born without a good qualities is a good as a blind eye. A blind eye has no use for seeing, but is simply unbearably pain. The king therefore thought himself very fortunate to have a bad son.
Very unfortunate.
Unfortunate to have a bad son. Yeah, sorry.
Mm.
A sinful causes a sinful son causes a person's reputation to vanish. His irreligious activities at home cause irreligious and quarrel among everyone, and this creates only endless anxiety.
Yeah, another 4 verses is the chapter is done. 45, read.
Who, if he considerate and intelligent, would desire such a worthless son? Such a son is nothing but a bond of illusion for living entity, and he makes one's home miserable.
Text 46. Any devotees?
Text 40.
Any devotees want to read? Okay. Ayyar Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Then
Okay. Okay, go ahead.
Then the king thought, a bad son is better than the good son, because a good son creates an attachment for home, whereas a bad son does not. A bad son creates a hellish home from which the intelligent man naturally becomes very easily detached.
47.
Thinking
Let me
like
read.
that, King Anga could not sleep at night. He became completely indifferent to the household life. Once, therefore, in the dead of the night, he got up from the bed and left Vena's mother, his wife, who was sleeping deeply. He gave all attractions for his great opulent kingdom, and unseen by anyone, he very silently gave up his home and opulence and proceeded towards the forest.
Text 48.
Yeah, text 48. When it was understood that the king had indifferently left home, all the citizens, priests, ministers, friends, and people in general were greatly aggrieved. They began to search for him all over the world, just as a less experienced mystic searches out the super soul within himself.
Text 49.
Text 49. When the citizens could not find any trace of the king after searching for him everywhere, they were very disappointed, and they returned to the city where all the great sages of the country assembled because of the king's absence. With tears in the eyes, the citizens offered respectable obeisances and informed the sages in full detail that they were unable to find the king anywhere. Purport. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of fourth canto, 13th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Description of the Descendants of Dhruva Maharaj.
Very good. Very good. So next chapter, talks about chapter 14 talks about the story of King Vena in detail. So here his birth, and as soon as he got the birth, he got with the bad qualities, and with that bad qualities, King Anga completely, at the point, how much, how this King Vena's character led him to leave the home and go to forest. So he was not. So that is for his purification only. That when he left his home, this Anga, King Anga, because of this bad characters having his son, he left the home. So that's the thing, overall thing, if you see, 40 to 49, Anga leaves home due to Vena's atrocities, Vena's cruelty. These verses we read translations, one-liners here. 41, 40 talks about Vena's cruelty. Before that we read this one. We have read this one, right? So let me read this one-liners. 25 to 39, already we read the translations. The head priest said, 31 to 34, what he say? The head priest said, you don't have a son. Pray to the Lord for a son, then demigods will come. Lord Hari fulfills desires of all. 35-36, after Anga worshipped Lord Vishnu through sacrifice, a person appeared with a golden pot of payasam. Payasam was given to Sunita, daughter of Mrityu. 38 to 39, cruel son born from Sunita, Anga's wife. Okay. And Anga leaves home due to Venus atrocities. Those are part 9 verses. That's about what kind of person he got and how he left. Vena's cruelty would kill innocent animals. Too much violence. Violent killing his own playmates mercilessly. Anga's attempts to reform Vena. Anga's thoughts about his son. 43. Sonless people are more fortunate. His thoughts. 43 to 46. That means 3, 4, 5, 6, 4 verses. A sinful son vanquishes everything. No one wants such a son. A bad son is better than a good son. One easily develops detachment. Anga's thoughts. And say 47, Anga leaves home. And 48, 49, everyone was aggrieved. 14th chapter talks about the story of King Vena. So we didn't read some of the purpose of last few verses, close to 20 verses. Let me see some of the points and we'll read and you can wrap up, okay? And then if we have any questions, we can take it up. Another 5 to 10 minutes max. 8:42. Another 5 to 10 minutes. Is that okay? Prabhuji and Mataji? Let us see some of the purpose. We just read translations. Yeah. Some of the purpose you have written so nicely here. We'll read this one. Okay. What is this number? Text 39. Before also let me find out something. I will read from here some of the purpose. Text 34. Pavan Prabhu, would you like to read?
Yes, Prabhuji. Translation: the performer of the sacrifices under Karmakanda activities achieves the fulfillment of the desire for which he worships the Lord. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that he awards benedictions to the worshipper according to his desire. The Supreme Personality of Godhead gives all living entities conditioned within this material world full freedom to act in their own way. But to his devotees, he says that instead of working in that way, it is better to surrender unto him, for he will take charge of the devotees. That is the difference between a devotee and a fruitive actor. The fruitive actor enjoys only the fruits of his own activities, but a devotee, being under the guidance of Supreme Lord, simply advances in devotional service to achieve the ultimate goal of life, to go back home, back to Godhead. The significant word in this verse is kaman, which means sense gratificatory desires. A devotee is devoid of all kaman. He is anyabhilashita sunya.
Sunya.
A devotee is always devoid of desires for sense gratification. His only aim is to satisfy or gratify the senses of the Lord. That is the difference between a karmi and a devotee.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
But there's a beautiful verse. Anyabhilashita shunyam jnana karma dhyanavrutam anukulyena krishnanushilana bhakti uttama. So karmi is having material desires, whereas bhaktas, pure devotees of Supreme Lord, no material desires. All of their desires are serving Supreme Lord. No abhilasha to enjoy materialistic way of life, I mean materialistic opulences or sensory gratifiers, desires, etc. There is a difference between devotee and a fruitive actor. Fruitive actor is nothing but a karmis. That is the verse. Okay. Dadami Buddhi Yogantam, Srila Prabhupada writes some of the lines from Bhagavad Gita. We'll read. Udaradhi. Let me read. The word Udaradhi is significant in this connection. What is this verse? The king was very liberal, and after taking permission from the priest, he took the preparation in his giant palms, and after smelling it, he offered a portion to his that prasadam, payasam. The word Udaradhi is significant in this connection. The wife of the king, Sunita, was not fit to accept this benediction. Yet the king was so liberal that without hesitation he offered his wife the boiled rice in milk prasada received from the Yajna Purusha. Milk prasad payasam. Of course, everything is designed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as will be explained in later verses. This incident was not very favorable for the king, since the king was very liberal. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, in order to increase his detachment from this material world, willed that a cruel son be born of the queen so that the king would have to leave home. As stated above, Lord Vishnu fulfills the desires of the karmis as they desire, but the Lord fulfills the desire of a devotee in a different way, so that devotee may gradually come to him. So there is a purpose behind, to give a bad son, to save King Anga. Actually, the Lord fulfills the desire of a devotee in a different way, so that the devotee may gradually come to him. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Dadami buddhi yogantam yenama upayantite. The Lord gives the devotee the opportunity to make progress further and further, so that he may come back home, back to God. Krishna gives different sufferings to come back to him. Pure devotee understands, sufferings are blessings to closer to Krishna. So there's a beautiful purport, literature purport. We'll see some of the things. This is about the Kshatriyas, the killing. Anybody? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Mata, yes, thank you. Please do.
Translation.
It's
After
possible.
fixing his bow and arrow, should I read translation also?
Yeah, translation also.
After fixing his bow and arrow, the cruel boy used to go to the forest and unnecessarily kill innocent deer. And as soon as he came, all people would cry, "Here comes the cruel Vena! Here comes the cruel Vena!" Purport. Kshatriyas are allowed to hunt in forests for purpose of learning the killing art and not to kill animals for eating or for any other purpose. The Kshatriya kings were sometimes expected to cut off the head of a culprit in the state. For this reason, the Kshatriyas were allowed to hunt in the forest. Because this son of King Anga, Vena, was born of a bad mother, he was very cruel and he used to go to the forest and unnecessarily kill the animals. All the neighboring inhabitants would be frightened by his presence and would call, "Here comes Vena, here comes Vena." So from the beginning of his life, he was fearful to the citizens. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. The behavior of this Vena, born of a bad mother, he was very cruel. He used to go to forest, unnecessarily kill the animals. That's why they, with the frightening, he అంటారు కదా భయపడుతూ, here comes Vena, here comes Vena, like that. In the beginning of his life, he was fearful to the citizens with the cruel behavior, cruel nature. See, the boy was so cruel that while playing with young boys of his age, he would kill them very mercilessly. That's how, his mates, his friends also, he killed mercilessly, as if they were animals meant for slaughter. ఎంత క్రియల్ బిహేవియర్ is there. Verse see, అక్రిడే క్రీడతో బలాన్ వయస్యాన్ అతి దారుణః, వయస్యాన్ అతి దారుణః. తెలుగులో వర్డ్ ఇస్ అతి దారుణంగా చంపేసిన అంటారు కదా. సో దట్స్ ద నేచర్, దట్ ఈస్ దిస్ వేనా క్యారెక్టర్. ప్రసహ్య నిరనుక్రోష పశుమారాం అమారయ, పశువులను చంపినట్టు. See, that's where King Anga punished, even the punished also, he won't change. There is a purpose, every activity, every act of these various pastimes in Bhagavatam, there is a purpose behind it. There is a supreme personality of hand is there, so that that personality become nice devotee and go back to it. Various pastimes we see. So Supreme Lord's will, it has to happen like that. Yeah. Almost done. Yeah, we'll read this one also. Anybody? Another 2-3 verses. We'll continue. I'll wrap up this part. Yes.
Yeah, correct. The king began to think in terms of attachment and detachment from one's material home. According to Prahlad Maharaj, the material home is compared to the blind well. If a man falls down in the blind well, it is very difficult to get out of it and begin life again. Prahlad Maharaj has advised that one give up his blind well of home life as soon as possible and go to the forest to take the shelter of Supreme Personality of Godhead. According to the Vedic civilization, this giving up of home by Vanaprastha and Sannyasa is compulsory. But people are so attached to their homes that even up to the point of death, they do not like to retire from the home life. King Anga, therefore, thinking in terms of detachment, accepted his bad son as a good impetus for detachment from the home life. He therefore considered his bad son his friend, since yes, he was helping him because detached from his home. Ultimately, one has to learn how to detach oneself from the attachment of material life. Therefore, if a bad son by its bad behavior helps a householder to go away from home, it is a boon.
Very well. That helps him to detach home and work on his future, next life. This thing here. Prahlad Maharaj, according to Prahlad Maharaj, the material home is compared to a blind well. That means Gruhamda Kupam. So that is applicable for Gruhamedis, not for Grihasthas. Grihasthas always center around, there are exemplary Grihasthas we see in past times of Bhagavatam also. Grihasthas center around Krishna and performing all of activities, keeping Krishna in the center and pleasing him. That is good. See, ultimately consciousness. If a person takes up, Vanaprastha sannyasa, but still having material desires, there is no purpose, there is no value. Again, same, whether he is at home or not at home, what is the matter? Unless this is the consciousness actually, the consciousness, one has to detach to materialistic way of life and attach to or inclined or adopt the spiritual values in one's own life. So the person can be situated until end of life as long as he remembers Krishna in their home, continuing the devotion service. That is good. Prabhupada writes in some of the small books. Gruhe Tako, there is one beautiful say prayer, right? Song. Gruhe Tako, Vane Tako, Sadahari, Bole Tako. Whether you are at home or at the vana or forests, what is to remember? Sadahari, Bole Tako. Remember Krishna. That's the thing. These two verses, paragraphs, these purports I will do. In this verse, what is saying? In this verse, that Mahodayodayat, Mahodayodaya indicates that by the blessings of the great soul, one becomes materially opulent. But when one gives up attachment to material wealth, that should be considered an even greater blessing from the great souls. It was not a very easy task for the king to give up his opulent kingdom and a young, faithful wife, but it was certainly a great blessing of the Supreme Personality of Godhead that he could give up attachment and go out to the forest without being seen by anyone. There are many instances of great souls leaving home in this way, in the dead of night, giving up attachment for home, wife, and money. The example of searching for the super soul within the heart by the less intelligent mystics is very instructive. The absolute truth is understood in three different features: Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagavan, Ichyate, that one, impersonal Brahman, localized Paramatma, and the Supreme Personality of God. Such Kuyogina or less intelligent mystics can by mental speculation reach the point of the impersonal Brahman, but they cannot find the super soul who is sitting within each living entity. When the king left, it was certain that he was staying somewhere else. But because the citizens did not know how to find him, they were frustrated like the less intelligent mystics. When it was understood that the king had indifferently left home, all the citizens, priests, ministers, friends, and people in general were greatly aggrieved. They began to search him all over the world, just as the less experienced mystic searches. Another example is given, just as the less experienced mystic searches out the super soul within himself. That's the thing. So that's it. King Anga left home because of his bad son characteristics and cruel nature. Left home for the good cause, for his benefit in next life. Well, the Supreme Lord's will. It has to happen like that. He wanted to have son, but he never expected he got these very bad qualities. No, the Supreme Lord's will only. The next chapter we will see Vena's story. Very beautiful pastime is there. Continuation. So we'll stop here. Thank you so much. Extended another 30 minutes. Grandhara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Anybody likes to share anything, or we can wrap up? Anything to add, or any questions?
హరే కృష్ణ ప్రభుజీ.
Just Prabhu.
ప్రభుజీ, ఇక్కడ ఒక డౌట్ వస్తుంది ఏంటంటే, ఆయన యజ్ఞం ద్వారా పుట్టాడు కదా వేణ, అయినా సరే ఇంత క్రూయల్ ఎట్లా అయ్యాడు అంటే ఆఫ్టర్ సో అంటే ఇట్స్ ఆఫరింగ్, ఇట్స్ గిఫ్ట్ ఫ్రమ్ ద గాడ్, అయినా సరే హీ బికమ్ సో క్రూయల్ అంటే ఇది ఇట్స్ లైక్ ఎలా తీసుకోవాలి?
భగవంతుడు ఇచ్చేది సుప్రీం లార్డ్స్ హ్యాండ్ ఇన్ ఆర్డర్ టు సేవ్ కింగ్ అంగా. That way, one way we have to understand. Maybe you know King too much attached to his materialistic life. Krishna wanted to save him. That way we have to see the positiveness in that. Yeah, that's true. If you say how can it possible? Some things we cannot. It's not in our jurisdiction of our mindset. Our mind is limited. These what is this? These how it why? So yajna prasadam only, na? Prasadam, payasam, nice prasadam from the yajna, sacrificing, nicely performed. Before that, he was looking for what happens to my yajna. Why no, it's not satisfaction. Then ultimately, You have to satisfy Yajna Purusha, then you get the whatever you want. You want son. You wanted a son. Yeah, that's the reason. You got the son. You performed well, but out of this, Krishna wanted, supreme will. Prabhu. There is one we always read now, right? Supreme Lord's will. In Parikshit Maharaj also, he's a great devotee. He's a direct touch from the beginning of his life, in the mother's womb of Uttara. Krishna touched him, Krishna blessed him, Krishna saved him. He's a great devotee, but still he cursed by Shringi because of, he was thirsty and hunger. He didn't get proper, treatment, not properly not received him. So he got angry. How a pure devotee can angry? When it's a Supreme Lord's will, Prabhu. It has to happen like that. You can see that way.
Yeah. So, I mean, can we imagine? The Anga has desired for a son, and then after the Yajna అయిన తర్వాత they gave son, but again he got detached because the son was not good. It's not a good son. So,
అట్లనే ఉంటాయి బాబు. Krishna, see, he left home. Maybe he was too much attached to this family life or in this kingdom. Because of his cruel son, he was puffed up. That leads him to leave the home in the dead of the night and work for his future life. Krishna. He's gonna spend now, just like in Dhruva, he also spend in his time in Krishna's service. That way he get rid of this next life, back to it. Yeah. Anybody likes to add, that's what I'm thinking. Anybody likes to.
ఈ స్టోరీ తోటి ఒకటైతే స్కేరీగా ఉంది, ఎందుకంటే షుడ్ వి ఆస్క్ అరీ మెటీరియల్ డిజైర్ టు కృష్ణ, అంటే మెటీరియల్ డిజైర్ అడగచ్చా కృష్ణుడిని, అడిగితే మళ్ళా దాని తర్వాత అబ్బాయి ఎందుకు
అది ఉంది కదా ప్రభు, ఉంది. యా దట్స్ వేర్ అండర్స్టూడ్. బట్ భాగవతంలో ఒక వరుస ఉంది కదా, అకామ సర్వకామోవ మోక్షకామ ఉదారది తీవ్రేణ భక్తి యోగేన ఏదైతే పురుషం పరం. అకామ సర్వకామ, వెదర్ వి హ్యావ్ ఎ మెటీరియల్ డిజైర్ ఆర్ నో డిజైర్. Mokshakama, you want any liberation, we have to Tivrena Bhakti Yoga, Yajete Purusham Param. Through the process of Bhakti Yoga, we have to please the Yajete Purusham Param, Supreme Personality of Godhead. Ade andi kada Bhagavatam cheptundi. These are the king's pastimes. I mean, how can we take it? Supreme Lord's will, anybody likes to add anything? That's what I can think of. I don't know much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anybody have anything to share or add, or otherwise we can wrap up. Thank you, Shilpa Mataji, for taking up this service. He's busy, Praveen Prabhu. Thank you for managing this call, and early morning every weekend, waking up, and you also have a family, and thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you,
Whether
everyone.
one devotee, two devotees, doesn't matter, mother. You please continue the service.
Yeah, Prabhuji.
9 devotees, 10 devotees, no devotees. Your service always looked by Krishna. Okay.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Oh, not able to unmute. And what is this, Mona? Ayyar Prabhu, let me try. Ask to unmute. Hare Krishna, Ayyar Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam. I am doing the option to ask to unmute. I don't know why you are not able to unmute. Not able to unmute. Oh. I don't know, Prabhuji, option. Okay. Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Dandavat. Thank you so much. Akinchan Prabhu, Vinala Mataji, Satyadev Prabhu, Subbarao Prabhu, Ayyar Prabhu, Ramred Prabhu Jain.
Hare Krishna. ఇంకెంత ప్రభు 2 weeks లో వస్తున్నారుగా?
చూస్తాను అందరిని చూస్తాను. చేసుకో ప్లీజ్ ప్రే ఫర్
ఉంటారా ప్రభు?
ఉంటాను ప్రభు, మీతోనే.
వచ్చినప్పుడు ఉంటారా కొన్ని రోజులు?
మీతోనే ఉంటాను ఇంకా, అంతే.
అవునా? ర్యాపప్.
హరే కృష్ణ. Hare Krishna.
Whole Bhakti Center is waiting for you, Prabhuji.
అంత సీన్ లేదు ప్రభుజీ. ఐఎమ్ జస్ట్ ఇన్సిగ్నిఫికెంట్. insignificant particle of dust particle of all Vaishnavas. Nothing. Thank you so much again. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namo. Ananta Koti Vaishnavanda ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Gurudev ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Nitai Gaur Hari Premanande. Hari Hari. Thank you very much again. KC Day, KC Saturday. Hari Bol.